Hi, and welcome back to the Marvel, or excuse me, hi, and welcome back to the Rivals Review Podcast, a podcast where 3 men in their 30s talk all things Marvel Rivals. I'm joined here by always by my partners in crime, Dahita Work and Vance Helsing Gaming.
What's up?
So how has this week treated you guys? You all know about my broken foot, so
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
eh,
Um, yeah, my week's been pretty good. I've just been cruising along. I got paid.
nice.
You
Love the
know,
money.
Yeah,
the little things.
I've been working.
Working.
Yep.
That sounds lame. I've been working too from home, so that's kind of nice, kind of not nice. The
Oh,
painkillers really made the days pass in a blur. But but yeah. So if you guys remember last week, we were working on our tier list, and we got about a third of the way through before a couple of the older folks in our Discord had to go to bed. So
aren't you older
So,
than me? I think
I'm
I'm the
pretty sure.
youngest between us three.
maybe.
How old are you, Vance?
I'm 30.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
I'm 31.
mm, weird. All right, let's move on. All right, so let's just jump right back into the tier list and talk about what we did last week. I'm swapping over to that right now. Just give me 1 second, chat.
I'm gonna pull it up on Twitch so I can see it.
Yeah.
I gotta change the screen capture to. Boom. So here's what we had last week. Last week we discussed our S tier characters. The only two we had up in S tier was Hela and Luna Snow. Our A tier heroes: Doctor Strange, Adam Warlock, Groot, and Iron Man. B tier: Black Panther, Hulk, and Loki. And down in the D tier, poor Jeff the Baby Land Shark. And all these characters were placed for reasons that we discussed last week. So if you haven't checked that out, please check out last week's episode on your podcast streaming application of choice. All right. So for those of you that were here last week and those of you who weren't, the way we're doing it is I had about 70 hours in the beta. My buddy Dahita work over here had about 35, and Vance Helsing had about 3.5. So this tier list, we're going from each of our different perspectives, finally settling on where we think the hero belongs that tier. So we'll hear from the 3.5 to 35 hour, and then I will give my final opinion. All right. So you
Sure.
guys ready to start?
Yeah.
Always ready.
Okay. So next up to be graded is my girl, Magic. She's a mutant. She's a mutant that lives in hell. She's the Empress of Hell. She's kind of cool. She's got a sword. Pretty fucking dope. So she has a passive where as she does damage with her ability, she gains some health, right? So some temporary health. I think while she's her base health is 250, and while she's landing abilities, it can max out at 350, like 450 in her alt. So her primary attack, believe it or not, is she just swings her sword back and forth. It does pretty good damage. She has a right click. The right click's really cool. It's a teleport. There's two charges of it where she teleports a short distance across the map. And when he comes out of that teleporter, she can either choose the left click to do a big AoE spin attack with her sword, or her right click, where she spawns a little demon that will attack anything within its range. So pretty neat. Two charges. Her E is an ability. It's a dash. You can use this one like diagonally up to the air. She dashes towards the enemy and she knocks them up in the air, and she can pound on them with her sword. All right. And she also has a charged sword beam that she could use. So like it's her only like projectile distance attack where she charges up a beam with her sword, launches it across the map. Pretty cool. Her ultimate is called Dark Child. And it's one of the transformation ults in the game where she goes all demon mode, all like, muscle mommy, and she does a lot more damage with all her abilities. Her sword hit like twice each. Her teleporter abilities do much more damage. Her max health goes up to like 450 if she's landing like attacks. Like it's a pretty nasty ult. I've seen a lot of team wipes with it. So yeah. So she is melee based. If we haven't talked about that, but I'm pretty sure we have. All right. And her team up is with the Black Panther. She can team up with the Black Panther. They create 2 portals that go over a small distance, and they can travel through them to get on flanks or something. So what does our 3.5-hour review think about Magic? Right here, this one.
I mean, so having only played for like 3.5 hours, watching or trying to fight her was annoying. At least because I'm a Star-Lord one trick, which we'll get to him at some point. She was kind of annoying, especially with the way that she like teleports and becomes invulnerable for like a half second.
Right?
Which,
yeah, that's true.
That in and of itself is really good. Being able to just reposition in that way and become immune to damage for however long it takes for the portal system to go through. Her kit seems really cool. I'm gonna put her at a solid A tier.
A tier. A tier says our 3.5 hours on Magic. What about our 35-hour take to heater work? What do you think about Magic?
Well, playing against her, I didn't really have a whole lot of trouble against her, honestly. I've never seen her use her ult because most Magics I play against, they were dead on cooldown.
Oh,
Just for me, I'm gonna say D tier because I didn't see she didn't do much for me.
B as in Bravo or D as
No,
in
D.
Delta?
D is in Delta.
Delta.
Yeah.
Wow, the Magic hate coming from the heater work. That's the thing, man.
Seeing a problem.
Really, D tier. Yeah, well, I mean, you do play a lot of Iron Man, right? So I can see that. But if I had to agree with one of you, I would agree with Vance over here. I think Magic is A tier, and there's a few reasons why. Like Magic is very much, a flanker character. He does take some skill to play, easier than Spider-Man or the Black Panther for sure. She's like a more entry level, like flanking character, melee character. But she can get in, she can get out, she can fuck someone's day up doing it, right? She has the 2 charges, like Vance was talking about, those like brief moments of invulnerability. Those are huge. You can really time those to like stay alive during alls. You can time those, like they keep you alive while you're just fucking someone up. Now, I do think her demon's a little bit useless, and no Magics I ever saw in like the tournaments I watch or anything almost ever summon the demons. They almost always did the AoE swipe coming out, but it's like she can just go in, mess someone up, and get out. It's pretty quick. And she does a bunch of AoE damage if you're stacked up together. That sword swipe's massive. Her ult is scary good. Like if you don't instantly die when you pop it, like if you're good with the ult, you can just go in and just wipe a team just like by yourself. It's so much damage. Swords hit for like 2 times. The teleports, I think all your cooldowns are reset when you pop it. It's just how you use the ult. Big deal. I mean, it's really hard to say much more about Magic. It's just like you'll know a good Magic versus a bad Magic when you play. Like I think the heater work just didn't see any good Magics because they could really take over the game. But to be fair, Flyers do kind of like walk on her. So
Yeah.
They just don't care because she's melee.
Yeah, she's melee, and her like she can get up to them like using her E, like her little dash. She can like get up there in the air and like swing around, but like just fly away from her.
I'm going to move
God.
casually 3 feet back and
yeah.
blow her up.
But yeah, Magic's good. I really like her. I know a lot of people really like her. I think she like in even other characters like her melee base, like Black Panther and Spider-Man, like the better the player base gets and the longer they play this game, the scarier these characters are gonna be. Right?
I agree.
All right. Magneto. Malcolm X. the I wouldn't say bad guy in the X-Men, but he's definitely not the hero. He leads all the like mutant rebellions and shit. Magneto. Where to even start with Magneto in Marvel Rivals? He's a lot like Sigma, floaty boy, feet don't touch the ground, throws a rock, has a shield. Yeah, a lot like Sigma. Has a mid-range primary fire that explodes. Yeah. Or not like Sagan at all. So let's talk about him. So his primary fire, he shoots the metal forward. It goes a medium distance. I don't know like the ranges in this game yet, whether it's like 20 meters, 30 meters, or stuff like that. But it goes a medium range, explodes, does decent damage. His alternate fire takes the rings on his back, which has 3 charges, and it compresses it in the metal and shoots another projectile. his shift is a shield. Like, unlike Doctor Strange shield that has a health, Magneto shield does not have a health. It has a charge, and you can use it for the entirety of its charge, and then it has to recharge. It stops everything a shield would. He has on his E and F, he has essentially Zarya bubbles. They're kind of the same. He can project a bubble on himself. He can project a bubble on an ally. It stops incoming damage. Incoming damage on those bubbles, instead of like on a Zarya where it convert to like extra damage on like charge, this regenerates the circles on his back, like the metal plates on his back. So the more the people that attack the shields, it lets him use his primary or secondary fire more. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. His ultimate is also really cool. I'm sure everybody knows a little bit if you play the beta about Magneto's ultimate. Bow before Magneto or whatever it is he says. So he flies up in the air and he absorbs any projectile or any instance of like damage pretty much that's shot at him. I don't know if you guys knew that. So like it's a giant. It's a giant vacuum. Like all damage goes to the ball that Magneto is forming above his head. At 100 charge, it breaks and the ult's canceled. So Magneto has to be smart and cast it before his ult breaks. But it absorbs all incoming damage, and then depending on how much charge, that's how much damage he does. A good use of this, and something they changed from the alpha to beta, is it used to completely counter Punisher ult. But now Punisher ult, if you're not quick on the trigger with Magneto, the Punisher can break. The Punisher can break Magneto's ult very easily if the Magneto is not quick enough to throw it. So it's a very useful ult. Stops incoming damage, can one-shot squishies. Very, very useful. Magneto has a team up that we've talked about. In the previous episode. It's with the Scarlet Witch, his daughter from a different timeline in this game. And she infuses Magneto's greatsword with chaos energy. And he can launch these blades of chaos across the map and do like 140 damage per swipe from distance. It's insane. And it's absolutely fucking insane. And yeah. You'll see a lot of Magneto bans in the tournament. From the streamers I watched that were in Diamond and up, like Magneto was almost a guaranteed instant ban, just always, just because of the Scarlet Witch team up. It's insane. So, what does our 3.5 hour review think of Magneto or Malcolm X, whatever you want to call him?
So I don't think he's the right type of person to be Malcolm X, but that's neither here nor there. Every game that I played, there was a Magneto. Assuming that there was a tank, it was always Magneto. He's definitely the tank. As far as like having the bubbles to grant the shielding for however long, that's super useful, super good. You can throw it to save a healer, or throw it on a dive carry and just have them go melt the backline while they're just absorbing damage. The sword swipe is absolutely insane. The team up, we have heard Conrad complain about it almost every time he sees it.
It's OP. It's OP. It just fucking kills me from across the map. It's great. Just two shots. I don't even know what happened.
So I think with Scarlet Witch, hands down S tier, no questions asked, like the top hero out there. Without Scarlet Witch, I feel like he can be slightly more manageable if you can get him to burst his bubbles down and not have that damage reduction.
Yeah.
So I would say he's like the top A tier, just shy of S tier, but with Scarlet Witch instantly like top of S tier.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. What's the 35 hour take to you to work?
I'm gonna be honest, McGree Advance 100% S tier. He is
100% S tier. With or without the Scarlet Witch, does that matter to you? Or is he S tier regardless?
Yeah, he's definitely still high AS tier without Scarlet Witch. I feel like if you play him right, there's a lot you can do with this shit.
Okay. All right, man. Well, short and sweet. I like it. So I agree. I would say Magneto's S tier even without the Scarlet Witch, honestly. I just think that he's one of those tanks that just has the utility, right? He is like the fusion of Sigma and Zarya, and he's just great even without the sword, which I'll get into in a moment. But he puts out consistent damage if you're good at aiming. If you can aim his projectiles, he just punishes the front line. He has his shield that he can cycle with his own personal bubble, so he's not taking a lot of damage. His shield can block ults, so he can block incoming damage. He can do a lot. I forgot to say that he can also float. If you didn't know that, if he drops from a high ground, he can float, like descend slowly. So that's kind of cool. I forgot to mention that.
I got a year in
Yeah. So yeah, does a lot of damage. Yeah, super good. His bubble can be used in a lot of interesting ways. Like Vance said, you can bubble off a dive character that's going in for the dive. Not only does that give you more charge on your alternate fire, it gives like the Venom going in there or Spider-Man, a chance to pop off without like being instantly blown up. His ult is super useful. It stops incoming, like you could use it to just stop damage. If your team's like taking a lot of incoming damage and you just need to get like a pick real quick, you can pop all. It's great. His ult is super versatile. You can use it in a lot of situations. I feel like a lot of people, and this might be controversial of me putting him in S, but I just think that with his kit, he can do a lot just all the time. Now with the Scarlet Witch, absolutely top of S tier. He is God among men, and all the puny peasants have to bow before him because he's got a second ult on a 30 fucking second cooldown where he can fucking fight anybody in the game and they can't do shit about it. Like in my opinion, it's really that strong, man. It 2 shots and he's squishy in the game. I've deleted storms out of their ult with Magneto sword. I have done ridiculous amounts of damage. You could take Hellas out the sky with Magneto sword. Like you can do so much with that sword. It's on a 30-second cooldown. It does ridiculous damage, and it has such a high range. I think it would be much more manageable with a much smaller range and a longer cooldown. But that's just me. But yeah,
I think they probably should also nerf the damage given the size of health pools. Like yeah. I think the ability was designed to be less of a I'm going to delete every character in the game and more as like I'm going to shred a tank that's in front of me.
Yeah, it can do that too. It can shred a tank, it can shred the backline, but honestly, like 9 times out of 10, the Magneto pops the blade, bubbles himself, walks past my tank, and chases me down to the ends of Earth to get that kill. Like that's
I think it needs to have a damage drop off for the range that it has. Like you can still have it do damage, but nerf it as it gets farther out, hitting targets.
Dude, Magneto's a pumper. He's a pumper. I won't like with Scarlet Witch S in the S tier. I'd say about top of A, bottom of S tier, without. Does that sound about right? Is there anything you guys can think of that I was missing on Magneto? I really like him. He's super cool, super useful. Not the most mobile hero, but he is definitely one of the most versatile.
Well, he doesn't really need to be mobile when he can just absorb a bunch of damage or just melt anybody that walks up to him. So,
dude, Magneto's great. Magneto's great. I know I saw a lot of people and a lot of videos that were complaining that they don't like his kit. Like it doesn't match the aesthetic of who he is. But like, I think it's pretty cool. Like I don't think they did bad on it. I think Magneto's pretty fucking dope. All right.
I agree.
Mantis. One of the healers in the game, strategist, as people would say. I really like playing Mantis. Mantis, and that might be because I'm an Ana player. So let's just talk to her kit. So she has 5 charges of like these buds, these seeds that she uses. Those are the seeds that she uses to heal. Right? She can recharge those seeds by landing headshots. The seeds by landing headshots, or they recharge slowly over time. So you throw your slow projectile, it's a decently fast projectile actually, but that's your primary fire. You land headshots, you get seeds. Your right click heals, and it's not an instant heal. It's a heal over time, or a hot if you're in like one of those communities. Hot, a heal over time, and it does a little bit of burst at first, but not much, and then it's a heal over time. Right. Her shift is a sleep dart, except it's a seed, and it doesn't work like Sleep Dart at all, kind of, because it has a very big arc, very slow cast. I found the best way to use it is throw it at your own feet when you're being dived by a dive character, and like it puts them to sleep. So she has a sleep ability. She can power. She's kind of like Mercy in a way where she can power up. She can use a seed to power up an ally. She hits E, the ally gets a small damage boost. It's pretty useful if you put it on like your Iron Man or your Spider-Mans or your Venoms, or just be smart with your damage boost and managing resources. You can damage boost multiple people. All right. Her F gives her a small heal. She heals herself and she gives herself a damage boost. So that's pretty useful when you're being dived. You can pop your F, heal some, and do a little bit extra damage. Put them to sleep, maybe land a couple of headshots. She's pretty good against dive characters. Her ultimate is probably the best part of her kit, in my opinion, and it had been buffed, I guess, since the beta, is what I hear. Her ult is a massive AoE heal. It's another heal at a time. People heal very fast. They start healing very fast, and it has an overheal function where anything it heals over becomes extra health for a period of time. So it's really good. It like highly increases people's HP bars. So it's a very good ult. It lasts decent time. Pretty quick to build up if you're landing shots, because she's very much a balancing her headshots with her resources. She has a high APM. You're just constantly clicking buttons. She's very fun to play, in my opinion. And she has a team up with Adam Warlock where she gets the Adam Warlock passive where every 2 minutes, if she dies, she can res herself. So let's take it to Vance Helsing Gaming for the 3.5 hour review.
So she was the only healer that I had the opportunity to play because I thought she was relatively the most simple, but she's very easy to play, but she's not very easy to play effectively because you have to be able to land your shots. Otherwise, you're going to burn through all your resource for your heals, and then you're just going to be kind of stuck there waiting for it to recharge, or you're spamming it as soon as it comes off a cooldown. The damage boost is useful. Again, you can throw it on a dive and just almost guarantee that the dive character is going to murder anybody in the backline. Like you said, I think her ult is probably the best part of her kit, with that the massive burst that comes with it, and then the initial healing over time, plus the overhealing. Just, you could pop that going into a fight, and then that should almost guarantee that you can survive the fight, at least with having your additional healers back you up. But I think the biggest hindrance for her is going to be you have to land your headshots in order to maintain your seeds and stuff. So with that, I think I'm probably going to put her at low B tier, as in Bravo.
Okay, low B tier. That's our 33.5 hour review. What about you, Dehita Work? What do you feel about Mantis in your playtime?
I'm in love with Mantis. She is my absolute favorite healer to play because, again, I don't know if you guys knew this, I fucking hate Spider-Man. But when you're dueling Spider-Man as Mantis, it's a whole nother story. You land them headshots, put him to sleep, he's fucking dead. You can heal, damage boost through it. She's a monster. She's S tier for me.
And then when you do that, you can't even teabag afterwards.
I know.
It's a goddamn shame,
It's
honestly. It's terrible, man. No crouching.
Sometimes crouching.
Sometimes after you've been killed 10 times by a Spider-Man and you finally get revenge, you deserve to teabag.
I want to be a little bit toxic. Not crazy toxic, just a little bit.
Yeah, what's a teabag? What's a tactical crouch but a handshake between two adversaries over a well-fought battle? Really,
it's about camaraderie.
Just extending the hand to help pick them up off the ground, you know?
Yeah. If anything, it's motivating them to do a little bit better, you know? Yeah. try come back and try again.
Or tilt off the face of the planet and throw your fights, you know?
I need to Halo 3 teabag physics where they just bounce off the ground. Bouncing on them. The skull bouncing against the ground.
Dude, I have to agree here with Dehita Work. I would say S tier. Like I think Mantis just puts out the healing numbers if your teammates are smart. If they realize you're a Mantis and can't just like heal them from 0 to full like instantly, and they play smart, you can just keep people alive. You can put a hot on someone, then go focus on someone else, do some damage here, put someone to sleep over here, give a damage boost over here. She can, if you're effectively using her kit, she can just control the battlefield. She's like the orchestrator, the composer,
The maestro.
the
She's like
maestro
a
of the
mix
battlefield.
between
Yeah,
Zen and Mercy, I feel like.
yeah, dude. And like Anna, she's got to sleep, and she's just great. Her ult is also just like a humongous counter ult for a lot of the other ults in the game. Anything that does a lot of damage, pop Mantis ult, heal through it. Yep. Just Storm ult. Yep. Spider-Man. Sure. Star-Lord. Yeah, not a problem. Probably still die against the Punisher, but just a lot of these ults, like humongous. You can use her ult super aggressive at the beginning of the fight, like Vance said, and just like win. Just like be super aggressive on the fact that you're kind of immortal during her ult or Luna Snow's ult. Her and Luna Snow together are just disgusting because they just have two ults that just stop things. Like it's like they're just great. And like Mantis can put out the damage, she can put out the heal, she has the utility on the damage boost and the sleep. She's just amazing. If you have an Adam Warlock, and a Star-Lord, you can just do all kinds of funny like res maxing things. And yeah, she's great. Mantis is great even without the Adam Warlock team up. Mantis is phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Namor.
Ooh.
King of Atlantis. No, not King of Atlantis. I don't know. He's like he's like Marvel's Aquaman. Nah, I don't think a lot of people knew who he was until the second Black Panther movie. And yeah. So let's talk about him. He's got a trident he throws. The trident has unlimited ammo, if you didn't know. Like you don't have to reload the trident. So that's a benefit to Namor. I forget how to pronounce it. And it goes pretty far. No fall off damage. So that's huge. It does a significantly more headshot damage than most weapons in the game. I think it has a higher modifier. Headshots do nasty damage, like really nasty damage if you can land them, but it's a pretty slow moving projectile, kind of like a Hanzo arrow. He has on his shift, he has on his E or a shift, one of them. He has 2 charges of squid turrets. And he can place these turrets pretty much anywhere. They stick to walls. They stick to ceilings. A lot of people put them on the floor, just right there. That's bad. Don't do that. Put them on high up on walls. Put them somewhere, that they might not get shot immediately by accident. Like make sure the enemy actually has to focus on them for a second to take them down. They do pretty good damage when they're up. And unlike like a Torb turret, they only stay up for like 10 seconds. So you constantly have to be refreshing your turret. Right. His right click is like an empowered trident throw, and anything that trident hits, the turrets that are up at a time will shoot an empowered shot also at that target. So that's pretty neat. His shift is his immortality button. Like he protects himself in a watery cocoon, and he rises up and floats, and you can move with it very slowly. I've seen some people use it aggressively just to get high ground, because he also has a passive where he holds the space bar and his little ankle wings like flutter, and he floats slowly to the ground. Yeah.
Swimming through the sky.
Yeah. And he has his ult is a really fast ult. It builds really fast. It actually does a lot of damage if you hit in the center. It summons a giant whale over the targets. The whale stops movement abilities, if you guys didn't know that. Like the AoE stops movement abilities, so they're trapped. They have to try to walk away. They can't like dash out of this ability. And it does a lot, like one-shot damage for most characters that are squishy in the center, and significant damage on the outer of the ring. And it knocks everybody down. And the whale I want to say is called Giganto. At first, I thought that was the name of the whale from Pinocchio also, but that's Monstro.
That is Monstro. Any Kingdom Hearts fan will be able to tell you that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So that's Monstro. But they're kind of similar. So I like to think there's a connection there.
But, Pinocchio's just on the inside going for a ride every time Namor uses his ult.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, Disney owns Marvel now, so.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, if we don't see Sora and and my fucking
Sora for Marvel Rivals. Let's go.
dude. Like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. But he has a team up with Luna Snow. He gets another turret that shoots ice damage. It does pretty good damage. It's a pretty good team up. It really boosts his DPS. I'm not sure if it slows on a hit. It might, but it's a third turret, and that's pretty good. So Namor, like, everybody was hating on him at first, but he saw a lot of use in the tournaments that were being played. A lot of people used him when they couldn't like play Hela, which was surprising. Because like the headshot multiplier, if you're landing shots, a lot of damage. But what does our 3.5 hour review think of Namor? I think I talked about his whole kit. I can't remember. I find him personally very boring to play. But
I never got to play him, but I mean, I'm a Hanzo main, so I might have to pick him up again if he's, slinging logs across the map and getting massive headshot
Ooh.
crits. So I might have to look into that when it comes back to open beta, if we get that. Marvel Rivals bring us an open beta. I mean, the turrets, whatever, they're just like an additional thing. They don't seem like they're a major part of his kit. I think
they're
the
a
biggest
huge
thing,
part of his damage, I think.
well,
Like, to be completely honest, it's like Torb without his turret, you know?
I mean, but Torb turrets are kind of, I mean, they're useful for anti-dive, like if you're on a defense character. So he might be a good defense character. But as far as like attack, you're moving forward, turrets might not be as useful. Or you just, sidestep. But then again, with destructible environments, there's less cover, so you might, make more use of them.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing with his ult, like if you can somehow group everybody up and then you drop your ult and now there's no more movement abilities, you've now, like, Star-Lord's flip, you've now just completely nullified that, and that's like his big get out of whatever, or like his dash or whatever. So that's good for locking down the enemy team so your guys can go in and annihilate them. Overall though, I mean, he does sound kind of boring. Just, throw some spears, throw a turret out, launch a whale across the sky, whatever. We've seen it all before.
Mhm.
I'm gonna put him at low B.
All right. Yeah, low B. The heater work. The 35
Uh,
hour review, please.
I
Where and
also
why?
did not. Also did not play Namor a lot. He didn't look like he was very fun to me. My freaking lights turned off again. Um, but his kit's okay. If you shoot the turrets, it's really nothing to worry about. I'm gonna go C tier.
C tier. Oof. All right, man. If I had to agree with one of you, I'd agree with Vance. He's B. And this might even be a bad take on my part because, like I said, he got a lot of use in like high level play to like a big degree with how fast his ult charge, the headshot multiplier. I just think most of us aren't going to be landing our headshots that consistently from across the map. But he is good. And unlike Torb, when his turrets are destroyed, they don't stay on there's not a long cooldown after his turret's destroyed, right? They're constantly being recycled on his cooldown. It's a pretty fast refresh. He can place them very aggressively, even on attack. He can place them. They use them, so he's very good against like dive characters, because the turrets can turn around and like help. He did put out a lot of damage. You're doing headshots, and like the utility on his ult was a lot more than I originally like would have put it. Originally, I didn't think his ult was that great, but his ult can like one shot a Luna Snow out of her ult. So like
Damn.
it can do a lot. Yeah, it does a lot of damage if you hit right in the middle, and it stops the CCs and it charges fast and it's really good. Like I personally think he's B tier because I don't think most of the people that we are playing with or most of the general population is gonna like squeeze the maximum value out of him. But I think that he could be A tier. Like, yeah, I think he could be A tier in the right hands. But I think for the average player, B tier sounds about fair. And he might be one of those characters that gets better also as we learn the maps and as general player skill increases over time. Because in any live service game like this, the whole community gets better over time. So if you want to climb, you have to get better at a faster rate than everybody else. That's just the reality. So yeah. So let's say Namor B tier. Everything sound good? Everything gravy?
Works for me.
I'm gonna grab
All
a
right.
drink.
Yeah. Are we waiting on him to get back? No, we don't
No,
have to wait.
I got my headset on.
Okay. So, Penny Parker. Penny Parker. I don't know how she's related to Peter Parker. She's a spider lady, except her powers are like if I remember right, reading her lore, she was bitten by a radioactive spider that gives her control over her mech suit.
That's not. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fucking lore, and we're gonna accept it. So Penny Parker is a vanguard or a tank. She is probably the kit I'm the least familiar with, but I would do it my best. She has 5 charges on mines. She can place these mines in a general areas around her, right? Her shift spawns a little robot thing, and this robot thing spawns a massive web, and it creates a bot. This bot will keep producing spider mines unless it's destroyed. So that whole spider web area that it spawns, yeah, it'll keep spawning spider bots. She has on her right click a couple charges, and she can shoot a web. Right, she can shoot the web at the floor to create webbing on the floor, or she can shoot it at an enemy and it webs them up. It's one of the CC abilities in the game. She can walk on walls with her passive, also important to note. And she has an ability on her F where she shoots a webbing out, and the webbing is tied to her waist. So it pulls her towards the web, and it kind of, you can walk away from it while the ability is active, and it stretches the web. And then if you stop moving, it boings you back to the center of the web. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's like
A
boing.
bungee cord.
All right, I think it's also important to know that any mines that are inside some of her webs are invisible to the enemy. That's important to note. And when she stands in her own webs, she gains passive healing over time and a movement speed increase. Her primary fire is diva guns, essentially from like Overwatch. She shoots shoulder blast, boop boop boop, does decent damage. Her alt is probably one of the worst ults of the game, though it might just be the community needs to get good at it. She runs forward, and she has 2 abilities. She can either drop webs and mines, or she can attack with her spider claws and knock enemies back. She has a team up with Venom that grants her an extra ability of a symbiote suit where she erupts in her symbiotic spiky stuff, and it does pretty good damage and causes a knockback on anybody it's hit. So yeah, she's kind of an anti-dive tank is the way I see it personally. She has these webs that hide mines, and she can cover areas and like block areas off with them. And she sets up in these places where she has increased movement speed and passive like healing, and she just like fights off dives. Kind of is how I see her played most of the time. It's like how I best understand her kit. What does our 3.5 hour take think about Penny Parker? Also, I just want to note it's funny that like you got to be careful when you're on Reddit, people. When you're talking about the community of people that plays Penny and you say pennies but don't include the apostrophe, everybody looks at you funny. So
okay. Honestly, she sounds super boring and not hard to deal with. Like any ranged character, which there's a ton of range in this game, you're not gonna get into her area. Like she might counter the 3 melee heroes that exist in the game right now. Like right now, she just doesn't bring an Iron Man or a Star-Lord in, and you're like, I'm just gonna stand back here and not get anywhere near your webs. It's not gonna be a problem for me. I'm not gonna have to worry about your landmines. The only time I've ever had to worry about a landmine is if I'm walking in after we've capped point and I just didn't see it. Which at that point it doesn't matter because we've already capped point. I think she's D tier. Honestly.
D tier. Boom. D tier. All right. What does our 35 hour review think about the Penny Parker?
The Peony.
I think for the first time, I'm going to agree with Vance. I think she's fucking trash.
Trash.
Excuse my language.
The Penny Parker fucking hate, man.
I just don't. It doesn't seem fun. Like it just. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. It could be better than what I see, but I didn't have interest to play her because it wasn't hard playing against her.
Okay.
Also, actually, before, sorry, Conrad, to cut you off.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the point of the bungee web? What?
Like,
why does it need that?
You can use it as mobility. You can place it in front of you and kind of use it like a web sling a little bit. Like it will pull you towards it. But like, yeah,
Okay.
it's
gonna
a
save
Bungie
you a
back,
quarter
like,
second.
you can like, I don't know, it could be useful if like you're like blocking off an angle, but you need to get back somewhere quick. You might need to get back somewhere quick, but you put the bungee down, and then you go fight off at an angle, and then bounce back to have quick movement a little bit of distance, so you can like protect an ally or something. I think there's uses for it that we haven't quite discovered yet.
Yeah, I think for her being a tank, her dashing back and getting back is just kind of useless because you're gonna if you're pushing up, your team is mostly gonna push up unless you're wildly out of position.
Mm-hmm.
But
All
it
right,
just seems useless.
I only disagree with you guys slightly, honestly. I think she's C tier, and there's a huge section of the community that thinks she's slept on, and that might be the case. But like you guys said, like almost every Penny Parker I've seen is just trash. Just like you could be on Venom, or Doctor Strange or Magneto. You could just be on pretty much anything else. Like she is good against dive characters, right? If they dive into your mines and stuff and just blow up, and you can peel and stuff with that. You can block off areas so they have to advance to one area or like risk going through your webs and dying. It's kind of cool she can heal through her webs, but like, yeah, I haven't noticed the healing that much to where it like makes a difference or even the movement speed. I think her ult's absolutely fucking trash. But I keep her in C tier just because I've seen some funny like proactive play with like the webs. Like people put like bots or the bombs right outside of spawn, and people like blow up. You can like place bombs smartly, control areas. So I think she has potential, which is why I'm leaving her in C. I think that while I also find her boring to play, I think that there are subsections of the community that are going to get very good at her, and I think that she hasn't had her best showing yet. I think with a couple more weeks or a month of playtime, like Penny Parker will shine in certain scenarios or certain comps. But I just haven't seen that yet, so I'm gonna leave her at the C.
Sounds good to me.
All right, the Punisher.
Oh,
The fucking Punisher, man. All right, his primary fire is an assault rifle, like Soldier 76. Does pretty good damage.
pretty
Hit
good, man.
scan. He can swap his weapon to a shotgun. The shotgun does really good damage. Really good. There is a slight delay between swaps, whereas you're swapping weapons, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. His E, he turns into Bastion from Overwatch 1. And, not as strong. Like, the E isn't as great as, like, Bastion Turret was. And Bastion Turret was never that great either. But it has, like, 600 health, and you're in a turret, and you have, like, 200 shots, I think. And after you fire those 200 shots or your turret is destroyed, you pop out of that, or you can leave it early. His shift is a zip line. I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can reuse zip lines.
I did figure that.
And you can have 3 of them up at a time. So you can literally have these set
I
up.
did not know that.
Yeah, they go a lot of places. The Punisher, dude. The fucking Punisher. And his alternate fire is a smoke grenade that knocks him back a little bit, does some damage, and causes a smoke field. Right. So, his alt, I forget what it's called. I know, but if you hear Judge, Jury, Executioner, don't stand in front of the Punisher. Right. So it does massive damage. He shoots a lot of bullets, a lot of rockets. It melts anything in the game, right? The saving grace, and he's CC immune during his ult. If you didn't know that, he's CC immune.
I did not know that
immune
either. That's crazy.
He's immune to CC during his ult. Yep, that's important to know. Yep. But on the bright side, he doesn't gain any additional health or anything like that. He's still his normal like 300. I think the Punisher is. It's like 300 health. That doesn't change. So he can die really quick in his ult. Actually, a lot of Punishers do before they get value out of their ult. They die. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the Punisher's kit. He has a team-up ability with Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon can put down an ammo station and give the Punisher unlimited ammo for his shotgun and his rifle, and an increased firing rate by like 30%. Yeah. So, pretty good. And that's the Punisher. Like, with your 3.5 hours into the game, where would you place the Punisher?
Well,
Vance?
the Punisher is your generic. We need to bring people that play Call of Duty into this. Your hit scan, assault rifle / shotgun. He's He's your generic.
If-
I mean, he's your starter character. He's the tutorial character.
He is. Yeah, he's actually the character in the tutorial. So.
Yeah. So he's gonna be that generic like all rounder. I mean, with the zip lines, you're able to get high ground and maintain it, or give you an escape route if you need to get away from high ground. So he's got good mobility as far as that goes. The immunity to CC with his ult is kind of crazy, but he's got a low health pool, so he kind of needs something unless they're gonna give him a massive shield, which I don't think they'll do that. Overall, I think he's a solid character. I don't think you're gonna see him as much what you get into the higher ranks, in my opinion, because people are just gonna know how to deal with him, or they're gonna hear his ult call out and just immediately focus him down, and he just drops dead, and then they're down a huge ult and huge damage output. So I'm gonna put him in B tier.
Okay. Okay. That's the 3.5-hour take on the Punisher. What about the 35-hour take on the Punisher?
I think the Punisher's pretty good. I've seen him be played really good. I've seen him be played really bad. I can't say that I've seen him be played enough to get a good grasp on how strong he actually is. That ultimate is pretty cool. You can't really stand in front of him, but like if you shoot him from behind and all other angles, it's not really. He melts. So I'm gonna say B2 just because of the
B
damage
tier.
output.
I am shocked by you both, honestly. The Punisher is easy S tier. Easy, one of the best characters in the game. 100% needs a fucking nerf. And I think you guys are right on a lot of things, right? He is an entry-level character. The movement's great. The turret's not that great, even though it can be useful. Even his primary fire, like his rifle, is okay. And his ult is honestly okay. Does massive damage. If you stand in front of a Punisher ult, you deserve to die. Find cover. Go somewhere else, or everybody just shoot him, right? He only has 300 health, dude. I can't tell you how many times I died playing Punisher and just not using his ult smartly and just popping it, walking around the corner thinking I'm going to melt people and I just get killed, or I pop Loki ult on the Punisher thinking I'm going to clean up and I just die in the middle of like everyone. So yeah, his ult is a little bit harder to use, I think, than a lot of people get credit for because he can die really quick. But beyond a shadow of a doubt, his shotgun is the most broken thing in the entire fucking game. This is not an actual shotgun because there's not that much fucking spread to it. And it travels. So it's you messed up if you didn't use a shotgun because the shotgun goes so far. It's more of a sniper rifle, I feel, than the shotgun, and it just melts anybody. A Spider-Man's on top of you, shoot him in the head. He's dead. Anything on top of you, a Black Panther, shoot him. Pop the shotgun, shoot him. Oh, you have a Rocket Raccoon on your team, and you have the ammo load, like overload, and the increased rate of fire. You're God. Like, you just have your shotgun. If you have any decent mechanical skill, you're aiming. The shotgun is busted. It's, in my opinion, it's the only thing in his kit that really needs to be learned, like leveled out. And I think otherwise he's fair. But Jesus Christ, this shotgun is so strong and just is obviously in need of nerf of a spread, some fall off, something. But the way it is right now, you can literally stand from what feels like 30 meters away and just blast someone to death, an Iron Man out the sky with your shotgun. It's crazy.
Hearing you explain the shotgun, I was getting flashbacks to the original Modern Warfare 2, the Model 1887s. You would dual wield those things and just melt people from like 50 yards away, and you're just like, all right, cool. I don't care.
Yeah, the shotgun busted. Absolutely busted. I love the Punisher. I think he was fun to play, and I just like the heads. But I like the Punisher. I like his design. I like his aesthetic. I like his ult. His ult looks really cool. But his shotgun really needs looked at. NetEase, I know you're not watching this, but if you do, if we're still doing this a year from now and become popular enough that you start listening to us, I hope you have fixed the shotgun.
I'm gonna doubt it.
They knew what they were doing.
They're gonna use that as like the selling point for his kit entirely. That will be his own. They'll get rid of the assault rifle and he'll just only be a shotgun.
The shotgun is nasty. Okay, Rocket Raccoon. I think everybody loves Rocket Raccoon, just like character wise. I think he's just great. I think he's probably the best Guardian of the Galaxy, personally. Let's talk about his kit. So, his primary fire is like a machine gun. It's all right. It has a pretty big spread, so you have to be pretty close to do consistent damage with it. His right click is kind of like Baptiste heal, but instead of like arcing, it just like keeps going forward. It bounces off walls and it slows down. It slows down as it goes through people and heals them, but it's his heal. So it heals really slowly, but as long as you're by the sphere, you're getting healed, right? His shift is a dash. And he has 2 charges of the dash. Whatever direction he's in, he dashes with his jetpack. Right? He has a passive ability where he can run on walls. Pretty neat. So he has probably definitely the most mobility out of any of the Strategist cast. He just is very mobile. He has a on his E, he summons a station, right? And this station produces armor packs where you can pick up for like an extra 25 health. And it also will respawn the first person who dies. So it's a res if it's not destroyed. But it can be destroyed. So if you find it, kill it. If you find a deployable in any of these games, and if you play Overwatch and there's a deployable, shoot the turret first. Shoot the deployable. Destroy the deployable. It's super important. Any person that has a deployable, it's super important. Please, community, for the love of Christ, shoot deployables.
They look so pretty. People work so hard to build those in.
Yeah.
Just let them sit there.
Yeah, just let them sit there. Don't shoot them. They let the art designers get their day in the sun. You know.
Yeah.
And his alt is Orisa Bongo from Overwatch 1, and that's kind of exactly what it is. He places a deployable that has a lot of health. Man, doesn't get destroyed fast. It has a lot of health. Yeah, it has a lot of health. I feel it's like even when I'm shooting it, it feels like I'm not actually destroying it. Yeah. So I think that needs to be changed. So if he places it in a stupid position, his ult should be destroyed, and that's perfectly fine counterplay to it. He should have to place it around corners and shit. But it increases the damage of anybody that's within range. Yeah, and he has 2 team ups. He has the team up with Groot, where he can ride on Groot's shoulders, and he gets like 50% damage reduction when he's on Groot's shoulders. And he also has a team up with the Punisher we just talked about, where he replaces like an ammo overload pack down, and the Punisher pulls out a shotgun and wins the game. So that's Rocket Raccoon. That's his kit. I don't think I'm missing anything there. I feel like I am though. I don't think I am. All right. So what is our 3.5 hour review think about Rocket Raccoon, the Strategist?
I touched him for a quarter of a match, and I couldn't stand him. I don't think his mobility was very good. Like, the dash was very short, and sure, it can go in any direction, but it was very short of a dash, so it's anybody that can aim is just gonna be like, oh no, he moved slightly to the left. Murder him. His primary fire it's useless. With the way that his heals are and how slow they are, like, you have to almost be constantly shooting your heal orbs to even be useful as a healer. The team up with Punisher, giving the Punisher unlimited ammo, just in and of itself is busted. So I mean, if you got a Punisher, then sure, lock Rocket and let your Punisher carry. I mean, the damage amp on the ult, sure, it's cool. I mean, the health probably should come down a little bit so it can be, destroyed. But overall, I don't think he's anywhere near top tier. I might put him at C tier.
C tier. Okay. C tier.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about our 35 hour take on Rocket Raccoon?
Yeah, I did not play Rocket Raccoon as in his kit. It's cool. It's all right. I don't think it's very fun to play. I think not enough. Like, you don't do enough. I feel like I'm just sitting there, honestly. He has a really easy hitbox. He's tiny, but like he don't move very fast. Yeah. I like that you can ride on Groot's shoulders. That's pretty cool, but that's just from the fan base of it. Not really gameplay related. I'd say C tier, I think.
C tier. Okay. I honestly disagree with you both. I think he's an A tier. A tier
You're
support.
a
Which
liar. Get out of
no,
here.
no, no. And like, hear me out. Hear me out. And it's one. It's because he just puts out more heals than anybody else in the game. He really does. Because like Vance said, his primary fire is kind of useless. He doesn't really use it in any games I really see. He just pumps fucking heals, and his res is just so impactful. Especially like
Oh, I
know,
forgot about it.
Yeah, the res is so impactful, and it's like on a 30-second cooldown, so like it's coming up always. The res and the extra health you get at the beginning of the game can matter. It's super useful. He just pumps out a lot of heals, and I disagree. I think he's hard to kill because of his mobility. He can run on walls pretty fast. They're hard to shoot on walls when you get up there. The dashes can be used to get away. Like, he's always safe, always the last one to die, and his ult charges so freaking fast, man.
Yeah,
It's almost every fight he is popping his ult, and they have that damage boost, and it's just another like win condition for them. They're just always going into the next fight, it feels like, with Rocket Raccoon ult. And that's why I think he's A, just because of the massive numbers he puts out and the fast charging ult. I think he's the Mercy of this game right now with the way he's designed, because you don't use his primary fire. You just have high mobility and a lot of healing and a res.
So before we move on, Conrad, what's your opinion of Mercy?
I fucking hate Mercy, and I think she ruins the game. And I hate saying that because I understand that Mercy's fun and the mobility. I just don't like her res. I don't like how she doesn't add any active value unless you're really good with your blue beam. I don't like her blue beam either. I just think there's a lot of problems. We're not here to talk about fucking Overwatch, but Mercy has a lot of design problems.
I've known you.
I fucking hate Mercy.
Things to say about Mercy.
I hate Mercy. I don't hate the people. I want to be clear. I don't hate the people that play Mercy, and I understand the appeal of Mercy. I just hate Mercy's fucking design. Yeah. But let's move on.
Rocket Raccoon's ult. I wanted to say, I'm pretty sure I tried to hit it with Iron Man's ult, and I did not blow it up.
You should be able to blow it up with that ult.
I might have missed it or something.
Yeah, that sounds.
Your aim, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'll smoke you right now.
All right, we're gonna have to load up the Widow 1v1s right after this, apparently.
You don't want the smoke.
But all right, let's talk about the Scarlet Witch. I think this is one of the most polarizing characters in the community on where people think she belongs on the tier list for sure. Scarlet Witch, her primary fire is an auto aim, Moira Zuck, and it does decent damage. It recharges her other resource, which is her little blast, which is where her actual real damage comes from. It's because you like zuck, secondary fire, throw a blast, and then zuck to recharge your blast, right? But she has like 5 charges of these blasts, and you just weave those in between your zucks, and if you have good aim, you're just pumping the damage, right? She has 2 charges on her shift, which turns her invisible. Well, not really. It's her fade ability where she becomes invulnerable, can't be healed during this time, and she flies to safety. It's important to note that the enemy can see you. You appear to them as a little red fucking ball, so don't be thinking you're sneaky while everybody's actually looking at you, waiting for you to come out of it to shoot you. But yeah. She can float with her passive, so she can go high with her shift and then like slowly float. So that's great. Let's see what else. She has a stun, probably the most annoying stun in the game. It creates this giant circle, and if you stay in the circle, it periodically stuns you for like a half second. And it can happen like 3 times while you're in the circle trying to get out of it. It's super fucking annoying. Let's see.
Her ult.
Yep, her ult. Her ult, pure chaos. She's a diva bomb. It takes forever to cast. She yells pure chaos. A giant exclamation mark appears on your screen if you're the enemy, telling you exactly where she is, and then she blows up, and you die. I don't know if there's actually any health pool that can survive. I'm pretty sure it kills anything in the game. It's a delete button if it goes off. And we've talked about her T-buff, which is absolutely busted with Magneto. And yeah. If you see Magneto, play Scarlet Witch. Honestly. So what is our 3.5 hour review think of the Scarlet Witch?
So I absolutely cannot stand abilities that do damage that require no aim and just general pointing in somebody's direction and you just suck them off. Moira, I can't fucking stand you. But she...
a very high skill play character.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, congrats, you held right click. Yay! Proud of you.
some
fucking
balls.
You
drives me
also
nuts.
hit the right and left keys while you did that.
Oh, you're
and
right. You're right. Yeah, yeah.
Periodically while you spam the crouch button.
Yeah, if you could
Yeah.
crouch in Rivals, I'm sure you would throw a crouch in there as you're sucking people off.
Yeah.
Her fade again. I mean, you can still watch her move, and as long as you're aware of that orb as it's flying around, you're just like, all right, well, now I'm gonna sit here and wait for you to come out of it before I continue to nuke you, assuming you don't suck me and my soul to oblivion. Her ult is absolutely devastating as in a team fight because nobody. So I don't know if this is just me, but when I'm playing and there's an enemy Scarlet Witch, I cannot see the indicator for her ult. It's just not apparent enough for me. So I don't know if that's just a me thing or if it's just the UI is I'm still getting used to it.
I
At least,
noticed it, but
thing,
after
I feel
70 hours, I have I
Yeah.
stopped dying to Scarlet Witch ults after like 10 hours, to be completely
I feel
honest.
that from him. I think I've gotten away, and it's like, nope.
yeah, but to me it's again probably just because I'm not used to the indicator or seeing it or, being aware where she is. But I mean, she's obviously a good character and you pair her up with Magneto and it's almost just you're gonna win the team fights because that team up to give Magneto his chaos sword is absolutely insane.
It's busted.
So I think out of everything, she's probably A tier as much as I want her to be D tier with the Z suck. But
All right, that's our 3.5 hour take. What does Mr. 35 hours say?
Yeah, her kit is her alt is the best thing about her kit, of course. Everyone loves that. Getting the team wipe. I played her quite a bit. I did have fun with especially teaming up with Magneto. That's just because it made Magneto busted, but you know. Um, I'm gonna say A tier, just
Okay.
because she wins a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
she wins a lot because she's with Magneto. That's why
I
she wins a
own
lot.
I
mean,
only
not too
I
bad.
only I only slightly disagree with you guys. I would say B tier. And this might be a controversial take to people out there listening because I know a lot of people I saw posting videos and stuff like that on YouTube. They're like, she's S tier. She's so good. She's so strong. Blah, 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 blah. I disagree. I saw a video earlier today about she can counter Iron Man. And that's like, yeah, if the Iron Man can't aim. But like if she flies up there and starts to suck off an Iron Man and the Iron Man just turns at her slightly fast and just mows her down with his right click, it's over. Her I don't think her damage is that high when she's just sucking. She really has to weave in those like things and then yeah, she can do a lot of damage. But she also takes a lot of damage and I think she's a little bit more fair than Moira because you can't spam crouch and stuff like that and you're also not getting healed from your Zuck like a Moira would be. So I think she's a little bit more fair in that regard. Her stun I think is super annoying because you can just place it in like chokes and in door frames and shit like that, and places people have to come through, and it's super annoying. Her alt, and I don't care who you are out there, it's not that great. It's not, dude. It's like the Diva Bomb of this game. Who still dies the Diva Bomb in 2024, right? Nobody in plat and higher. It just doesn't happen that often. You can, but maybe 1 or 2 kills here and there. But on the team wipes, you probably should only ever see it at the lower ranks because it's such a long cast up time. Just turn and shoot her. Just turn and shoot her or find cover. You'll survive. She's takes so long to cast. She's such a big image on the screen. I don't think the UI has messed up. You just turn around and shoot her. Just kill her. And then she won't blow up everybody. Now, there's a couple smart things you can do to use her ult to better advantage. You could, when you pop it, your Magneto could shield you off with his bubbles. And when you pop your ult, your Doctor Strange could fly up there and block off shots from you with his shield. I think the best way to use the ult without relying on team is hide behind a corner or something. Hide behind something, pop the ult, and then at the last second, float out from around it, and then try to get someone off guards. But if you just jump into the middle of a team fight and pop your ult expecting to get a 6K, you're gonna die. that's
Not if
that's
you
just
try real hard.
that's it. I do like her mobility. I think she might actually be A tier, but I think she's B tier. I think she is overhyped, and I think she's just getting much more value than she will be once the player base gains a little bit of experience. And that's why I say B. All right, now the Hito Works favorite character, Spider-Man.
Let's go.
Spider-Man. Fucking Spider-Man,
The
dude.
lovely Spider-Man.
The amazing fucking Spider-Man. All right, his shift. He's got a web swing. If you haven't got into your settings and turned off easy swing, do that. It lets you choose where you're gonna attach your webs. It makes him much more easy to control. He's got 3 charges of his web swing, so it's always up. All right. His primary fire is he punches and kicks. His alternate fire, he's got 5 charges and he shoots webs. These webs attach a spider tracer. The spider tracer changes the effects of some of your abilities, increases damage done by all your abilities and your physical attacks. His E, it pulls an enemy towards him, webs them and pulls them towards him. If a spider tracer is attached, it pulls you towards them, right? And then like his F is an uppercut. And I think the uppercut has 2 charges, and it covers his fist and webbing, and he knocks someone into the sky. All right. And that's his kit explained to the very smallest degree without talking about my own personal pain points with Spider-Man. And his ultimate, the Amazing Spider-Man, is he starts shooting webs all over the place, kind of like a Reaper Death Blossom. And he'll kill any squishy that gets caught up in it, and he will web up the tank so that they're CC'd. And I think he also gains like 250 shielding while he pops it, so he doesn't just die. So he goes up to like 500 HP when he casts it. He has a team up with Venom. It's the same as a team up with Penny Parker. His suit explodes with symbiotic fluid stuff, and it spikes a bunch of people and gives a knockback and does some damage. And that's Spider-Man's case, like Kit explained to the very smallest degree. What does our 3.5 hour review think about Spider-Man?
Well, if you ask my son, he would probably put him in S tier because he loves Spider-Man just as a character in general.
S tier because
S tier from the 4-year-old. And you know what? I'm gonna agree with him because Spider-Man is absolutely insane. He is the assassin character. He does not care if you are in the sky. He does not care if you are in the ground. If you are isolated in any way, he is going to annihilate you.
Let me reverse that. If you're in the sky, he's putting you in the ground.
But I think he is definitely S tier. His ability to dive in, deal a bunch of damage, and if he doesn't murder you in that 2 seconds that he's on you, he'll just web swing out and he's gone, and you'll never find him again. He is the epitome of an assassin character in this game. He is what Sombra wishes she could be.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What about you, Hito Work? With your 35 hours of experience, where would you put Spider-Man? Talk to me a little bit.
Yeah. So it's Spider-Man. First, I'm gonna start off by saying I'm glad Uncle Ben died.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck Spider-Man. But he is, I don't know, he's probably the strongest DPS. I feel like me as an Iron Man player, sitting alone, just chilling in the sky, all by my lonesome, out of nowhere. Here comes Spider-Man.
God forbid we target the flyer that's destroying the entire team.
I know. I got the clothes on. I'm looking gorgeous up there in the sky. So
you're a big shiny target for ADHD Spider-Man.
Yeah, I will be fucking mad though. But yeah, he's S tier, hands down. I can't even hate.
Yeah,
but
yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I get it. Fuck Spider-Man, man. I honestly agree with you both, and we might be in the minority here. I know a lot of people don't think Spider-Man's S tier because he takes so much skill to play, and he does. He does take a lot of skill to play, but I have some problems with him personally that I think make him exceptionally strong. My biggest problem with him are sound cues. It's like, how am I supposed to know when a fucking Spider-Man's about to dive me unless I'm tracking him through the sky at his 90 miles a fucking hour? Like, in Overwatch, as much as I fucking hate Overwatch right now, is I can tell you who I'm being flanked by if they're not being super good on their flank, just by the sound of their footsteps. I can tell you what the character is, whether they're crouching or not, and where they're fucking coming from, because the sound design in Overwatch is so good. Spider-Man, you don't fucking know. He just fucking comes in out of nowhere and you're dead, and then he gets out while he's giggling to himself, right? Like that's one of my big problems with him. I also think his E is too easy to land. I know you do have to aim it somewhat, but I feel like it's super forgiving. So he's just constantly fucking up airborne targets because it's easy to fucking hit that.
Yeah.
My big problem is with the design and how fast he travels while he web swings.
Oh my
While
god.
he web swings, he goes so ridiculously fast. You
So
can't
around the building,
you can't track him. You can't hit him with shots. It's like a free getaway. He might as well be immortal. And that could be a skill issue. But I think with the performance like issues they're having, sometimes he jitter fucks away. Like I can't tell where he is on my fucking screen, man. Like how am I fucking supposed to shoot him?
Was that a fucking spider?
Like, yeah, he just comes in and fucks you up. Like, he can just come in, like, swing in and pop his ult behind, like, squishies, and they just never knew what fucking happened to him. You know, like...
I just left him right here.
Like, Spider-Man is just... His mobility is fucking crazy. Also, we forgot to talk about it, but obviously, Spider-Man, he can walk and run on walls.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So,
that's not even
no way.
Yeah. So yeah, and he does have a one-shot combo with the Venom symbiote suit. Like he can go in there and like almost guarantee a one-shot. Like a good one can still fuck you up and kill you, but get out. There are like animation cancels already discovered by the community with Spider-Man. I'm not sure what they are, but I know they exist. I was watching some Necros and he was talking about some animation cancels that help you get in some more damage. But like I think he is a hard character to play, probably the hardest in the game. But I still don't think he's fair in terms of how fast he can travel and the ease of him from getting away for as much lethality as he has and the sound cues. And I think those are like what make him S tier for me.
I'll agree.
Yeah.
All right, Star-Lord. And we only got 4 more. I know these guys are getting tired, so we're going to try to get through these last 4 and then give our going away messages. So this is Star-Lord, Peter Quill, blah, 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 blah. You know him. You love him. His primary fires are tracer pistols, man. Like, he's got those. And, you know, they do pretty good damage. They do headshot damage. They have, like, unloads the clip really fast. He has a really fast reload. His right click is kind of like a tracer blink, but not. He flips. And I think he becomes invulnerable during that flip. Don't quote me on that. But if you didn't know this, Vance or Dahito work, when he does that, he reloads his guns.
I did know that, and
Holy
I
shit,
use
I
that
did
to
not
my
know that.
advantage all the time to chase down kills.
Damn.
Yeah, he reloads his guns
That is
during his
amazing
little
to
flip.
know.
His E is a Reaper Death Blossom, like Junior. Like it does pretty good damage. He still has mobility during it. It's pretty cool. His shift is he's got fuel and he can fly around based on how much fuel he has. Really super high mobility character Star-Lord is. His alt is he yells legendary for some reason.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the most Star-Lord thing you can yell is just legendary.
He flies into the sky and he gets auto aim. And yeah. And like you can still use your flip to reload your guns during the ult. Pro tip.
Yep.
And like yeah, you can do a lot of damage with his ult. And kind of easy to stop though. Depends on how you use it. Like you can get a lot of value with it. It's not the most impressive ult, but it's good. It's good. Star-Lord has a team up with Adam Warlock, which lets him be super aggressive because he can go in, feed his brains out, try to trade out, and then res himself and trade out again. And then you killed 3 for the price of 1 guy. And super useful. Yeah, and that's Star-Lord. What does our 3.5 hour the Star-Lord main think about?
As much as I hate playing Tracer in Overwatch, he is very much Tracer-like, and I love him for it. I also just love his voice lines and he's got the charisma that you would expect from Star-Lord, Peter Quill. I like the reload function on the blink because instead of you now only having 40 shots, you've now got 80 to 120 shots to just burn down anybody that you're on. The AoE, like mini Death Blossom, is really good. I've used it a lot to go in and secure a kill when I don't have any more flips or I'm, not confident in my shooting, or there's a more mobile hero around. I can just pop that, and if they get anywhere near me, they're just going to take a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
The auto aim, super good. It's like Soldier, so for a low skill player like me, I don't have to aim or try hard to hit my shots. It will just automatically do it for me, so that's nice. And his mobility, super good, especially getting out of the gate, getting to point first or flanking behind or flanking up the high ground. Super useful. He has a lot of utility. The survivability, I think, is what brings him down from S tier down to A tier for me.
Okay.
If he had some type of, shielding or something that came along with like popping his E or, while he's flying up in the air, I think it would be a lot better as a hero, but I think he's an A tier.
Okay, man. Okay. What does our 35-hour review think about the Star-Lord? I think he was also your first character too, if I remember correctly.
He was. I love Star-Lord. His kid's just so much fun. It was a great introduction to the game, I feel like. In his ultimate, I can almost always secure at least 2 kills. I love flanking behind and popping it. It's fun. He can get rolled sometimes, like pretty easily, but I would definitely say A tier.
Yeah. I actually agree with you guys, and I would say A tier as well. And I really don't have a lot to add from what Vance said, right? He does a lot of damage if you can land your shots. If you're an amazing tracker, you're pumping on Star-Lord, man. The reload that lets you secure kills and gives you that brief immortality field also adds the survivability, just super great. High mobility, so you can be super creative. He can just be anywhere he needs to be on the map.
Your
His
cat's
ult
eating
is
your USB cable.
Oh, he's smacking it.
He was
He
eating
is
it.
he yeah, he's good. He's good. I wouldn't say he's S tier. His ult can secure a couple kills. It can do a lot. He can also be killed out of the sky though. I don't really know what to add really from what Vance said. His E is mostly used. His little Reaper Death Blossom is used mostly to secure kills. I think you got a good take on Star-Lord, man. And he's just good. He's fun to play. I think that he's beginner friendly, but I think it definitely takes a lot of skill to get the most out of him. I think he is a high skill character in terms of the DPS role. I think the better you are, just like Tracer, the just more you're gonna own the lobby. I think he's a pub stomper. Obviously, I think if you know the maps and you're good at the movement and everything and the aiming, you can just absolutely destroy, absolutely fucking destroy. All right. Anybody else have anything to say on Star-Lord before we move on to Storm?
Buff my boy. I want more damage.
More damage.
Give me another flip.
Okay. So Storm is another constant flyer. Oh, you're about to turn off my PC. Okay. All right. So
Seth, no.
All right, so Storm's another constant flyer. She's always in the air, right? Her primary fire, she launches blasts of winds. It's a pretty slow projectile from across the map. Does decent damage if it hits. Her right click, she shoots lightning from her fingertips, and that does pretty good damage on whoever it hits. Her shift is where all her real utility comes in, and she has 2 different stances, a wind stance and a thunder stance, right? In the wind stance, she gets increased movement speed, and anybody inside the AoE effect of her also gets a movement speed, kind of like Lucio. If she shifts her stance, it changes from a speed boost to a damage boost. So everybody inside the circle gets increased damage, I think of 20% or something like that. And it also occasionally does lightning damage while lightning occasionally strikes people in this thing if they're enemies and you're attacking them. So it really buffs your DPS. Her E is an amplify. So it either amplifies the speed boost if you're on it, or it amplifies the damage boost. And that's really Storm's kit. Her ultimate, she yells fear of the goddess or something like that, and she disappears. And she reappears in a tornado that does massive AoE damage. And she has 500 health, and she moves really quick, and the tornado will kill whoever it's on top of most of the time. There are a couple ults to it that counter it. Luna ult completely counters it. Mantis ult completely counters it. And a fun thing I found out is you can just kill her out of it with like Iron Man ult or Magneto sword or Magneto ult or But she is immune to CC. I found out. Well, she's in that ult, as I've tried to sleep her out of it several times to no avail. She has a team up with Thor, where she gains the chain lightning ability. Thor gives her another ability where she shoots lightning. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it chains between any of the enemies that are normal or that are not normal or that are around here. So it like bounces off if they're close enough. It does. You know what I mean.
Yeah,
And yeah.
like
So
Adam
that's
Warlock.
yeah. So that's Storm. What do you guys think of Storm? Let's start with our 3.0 review. 3.5-hour review.
I mean, it seemed like the only time I ever had an issue with Storm was when she popped her ult and I was just too dumb and was too close to her. I mean, she does bring some utility with the damage amp AoE, which, I mean, an AoE damage amp is always going to be good, especially if you've got multiple ranged and you're not really running the melee, or even if you bring her into melee, you could, considering that the lightning strikes while you're standing in it. The movement speed, always good to, get to point early. It could potentially just be I'm going to pick Lucio, pop E, let everybody speed out the gate, swap, and then play a different hero like Punisher or something. Or somebody else that's got higher mobility on their own. So, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like she's not that hard to deal with, especially if she plays at range far away. Like, it's gonna take a while for her to hit her shots. And that makes her less useful. So she almost has to be like mid-range to melee to be an effective use of the team, and she's just gonna get melted down until she gets her ult, and then she's semi-useful and can maybe, take out a couple enemies that are standing on point.
Okay.
So with that, I think I put her at like low B, high C.
Okay. What about you, Dehita Work? What is your take after 35 hours?
She is I really, like Van said, I really didn't have a whole lot of trouble with her, besides not paying attention to her ult being right on top of me. Um, she seems the speed boost and the damage. I didn't know about that. That's pretty big. I can see her like being able to team up with other characters like high mobility or characters that don't have as much mobility, getting everybody back. Yeah, I would say, just from what I've seen, I'm gonna put her B tier.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree with you both. Like I would keep her in B personally myself. Although I will be realistic and probably say after what I've seen of other players and other people's opinions and what can be done, she's probably more realistically an A tier character. And I'll explain this. I still gonna keep her in B. I keep her in B is because outside of her amplified speed boost, she's slow and you can just shoot her out the sky just fairly easily. And that's my big thing that keeps her down, because she's not like Iron Man, who has a shift boost where she can just like get out of there, right? She has to like pop her amp to have any real movement speed. So you have to be really smart with positioning, really play cover to get the most out of Storm. She's more realistically A tier because like in the higher level plays I saw at the tournaments, like she was used in like a GOATS comp for like Marvel Rivals, where there would be 3 tanks, 2 supports, and Storm. And she would just damage boost the tank so that they're doing more damage and keep the supports up, and they just like death ball roll through the competition. So that's probably why, because the value of her team play is what probably makes her A tier. But I think she's B just because I think the average player isn't going to utilize her to the best of her ability, and she's just going to die due to the poor positioning. Her ult is definitely the most useful thing in her kit. It's completely devastating. I find like the best use of it is you just put it on top of the payload in overtime and you win the game. Especially if you have a Loki who can do a second Ononoki,
The second Ononoki.
Like, what are you gonna do? But what are you gonna about the second one?
The second.
It's like,
I feel that way about Scarlet Witch too. Oh,
yeah. So I think her ult's super useful. There's a couple counters to it though. Any smart Luna or Mantis is just gonna hold on to their ult until you pop yours. So that could be annoying if you're playing Storm. Also, Iron Mans will just shoot you out of the ult. So like against smarter players, your ult has significantly less value because they realize how to counter it, and it's not nearly as oppressive as it first seems when you first start playing the game. All right. Any questions about Storm? Any concerns about Storm? We all agree B.
I agree.
All right. Let's keep going.
Oh my.
Let's
freaking-
keep moving. We're almost done. So we have Thor, the God of Thunder. He was honestly my favorite tank to play. Him and Doctor Strange. So his primary fire, he swings with his hammer. He does regular melee damage, right? His alternate fire, I forgot to say, he has 3 charges of Thor Force. Every ability he uses a Thor Force, except his E, which uses 3 Thor Force. When he uses an ability that uses Thor Force, if he hits a target with his hammer after he uses it, it recharges 1 Thor Force. All his abilities, besides his E, share a global 2-second cooldown. That's kind of what makes him a little bit clunky, in my opinion. His right click, he throws his hammer, and it comes back to him, right? Obvious, like Thor thing. His shift, he swings his hammer, and then like launches himself forward with it. It's a mobility option. His E deploys an electric field, and for everybody that's hit by that electric field, they don't take damage, but it restores 1 Thor Force for any enemy hit by the electric field. That's his E, and his F is the Rune of Awakening. This is his big DPS ability. It costs 3 Thor Force, and it's like a 13-second cooldown or something like that. And he awakens, and he puts his hammer away because he doesn't need it anymore. And he starts floating, and his hair brims with lightning. He starts chucking fucking lightning bolts across the fucking map. It does massive fucking damage. So the trick to playing Thor for people out there is to, when the fight starts, pop your fucking E, immediately go into Awaken State, and this is how I've been playing them, and start doing DPS, and then pop your fucking E and go back into Awakening State if you hit 3 people with it. The goal is to maximize your Awakening State, the amount of time you stay in Awakening State. And I forgot to say, for each of his abilities used, he gains 100 temporary health that fades pretty quickly. So he starts at 600 health. If he uses like his hammer, he gains like 7. He gets like 100 shielding. It disappears pretty fast. If he pops his Awakening, he gains 200. And it maxes out at 800. He gains 200 temporary health. And his ult is the God of Thunder. He flies up into the sky, and the area underneath him, the people take constant lightning damage, and then he slams down and does massive damage. And that is Thor. He's got the team up with Storm, where he gives her the extra ability we just talked about. Thor, I loved him to death. My favorite tank to play. I felt like he's more of a DPS than he is a tank, and it's hard to solo tank on him, and you really need like someone main tanking while you fuck around. But yeah, that's Thor. What does our 3.5 hour review say about Thor?
I think he's a cool character. It definitely seems like he's more of a DPS tank. Like he should just be a DPS with like your Mei levels of health pool, just a slightly larger health pool than the other DPS. You could probably get away with doing that by getting rid of the shielding that he gets when he uses his abilities. But I mean, I never really had a problem with Thor. Granted, if you can dodge his hammer throws, okay. If you're a ranged character, you're not really gonna have a problem with him because he's got to run at you and chase you down. So I never really had an issue with him, but I think overall, like just him being a high damage output as a tank, as an off tank specifically, he's gonna be pretty good. He's gonna be like your almost staple if you're wanting to do a high damage comp rather than like surviving or whatever. So right. I think I'm gonna put him at low A, high B.
Low A, high B? Okay. All right. What does our 35-hour take say about Thor, the God of Thunder?
So the majority of the time playing against Thor, I've got absolutely stumped. He's just so strong. He does so much DPS. Like Van said, he should definitely be a DPS with like the Mei level health pool. And I mean, he's a fun tank to play. But yeah, you definitely need another tank to do the tanking while you're out there doing the damage. His ult was okay. I mean, yeah, like, but his bread and butter is that F ability where he's
the awakening room. Yeah,
you just farm until you get that. Yeah, I'm gonna say he's S tier, honestly.
S tier. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree with you both. I'm gonna say B tier, and it's unfortunate, I think, because he was my favorite tank to play by far. I just love to do the DPS thing on him. I've absolutely dominated lobbies. The problems are there's a couple problems I have with him. One is like he's just not a main tank. Just tanking by yourself is hard. You're just gonna die, blow up, and you just can't nearly be as aggressive as you want. Another problem I have with him is that global the 2-second global cooldown, it just makes him feel clunky and not fluid. Like, think about it. Every time you try to do anything, throw your hammer, you gotta wait 2 seconds before you do anything. You charge it, you gotta wait 2 seconds before you do anything. You know, it just makes him feel fucking clunky sometimes. Another problem I have with him is his hammer throw is absolutely useless, and you should hardly ever use it. Because remember, his big mechanic is he uses an ability and then he smacks someone with his hammer to recharge his Thor Force. What's the point of having an attack that you do at range when you can't smack someone with your fucking hammer? You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like, okay, kind of useless. It doesn't really do massive damage or anything or apply a status effect, so it's not really useful to use. I love his mobility, but like I said, he's a little bit clunky, and his ult is just okay. You can get some team wipes with it if everybody just stands there, but it's mostly to pick off 1 or 2 people, if that. But I love him. I love his whole concept where you manage your resource to maximize your awakening room time, so you just launch lightning. I'd play him, and oftentimes I was like top DPS in the lobby. Just fun to play. I just don't think he's great by himself, and I just have problems with how clunky he is. And yeah, you just definitely you didn't see him in the pro play at all outside of 3 tank situations. It was never like Thor and another tank. It was always 2 tanks and Thor, because Thor is essentially a DPS.
So I think what they could do with Thor, just to make it feel a little bit better, is if his hammer throw acted almost like a Roadhog hook, where it could pull them in with the hammer. I don't know how the logistics of that would work. I don't know if it somehow you just threw it behind them and it comes back and, boomerangs back.
That might be overpowered, though.
But if you do that, you'd have to take away, some of the damage on his rune awakening, or something else, just to make him make use of the hammer throw, because right now it doesn't do anything. It's useless. It's completely contrary to his kit.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what a lot of people said. And the hammer throw just doesn't feel good. All right, we got one more character to talk about, and that's Venom. Everybody's favorite. Everybody stared at his rear end the whole time. Everybody talked about cake or whatever. It was weird. It was weird. The amount of attention that Venom's behind got during the beta, insane. But let's go with it. So let's talk about his kit. He has a passive. He can walk and run on walls. Right? He's Venom. He's kind of like Spider-Man. His primary, he's got melee attacking like normal. His primary fire is spikes that erupt out of his back and do damage. They can headshot if you didn't know. All right.
I did not.
He's got a swing on his shift. Unlike Spider-Man, he only has 1 charge on it, but it's still a relatively short cooldown, so it's still enough to get in and get out. It's still low enough to do that. His swing moves pretty fucking quick. His right click, or his E is a dive, so you swing in and then you dive, like shoot. It's like Wrecking Ball Slam, does some damage, does a little bit of a knock-up. Pretty cool. After you do that, like there's like your right click ability is tendrils reach out and they grab an enemy, and if the enemy doesn't break the tendrils or get away far enough, they eventually explode and do some damage, extra damage. His E is like symbiotic regeneration or something, and it gives him temporary health based on how low his health is. So I think if you're under 250 health, you get 1300 additional shielding. And his ult is he goes underground and he comes up and he does a giant bite. And this bite also gives him temporary shielding. And it's either based on the amount of damage he did or how many people he hit. But when you think about it, that's kind of the same thing. So, like, based on the amount of people he hit and how much damage he does, he gains some temporary health from his ult. He can be killed out of his ult if you didn't know. And, like, we've already talked about his passive, or not his passive, but his team up. He gives Penny Parker and Spider-Man an additional ability with the symbiotic suit. And I believe that is all there is to Venom. Very cool character. Much love. I really love the Cyan Venom skin that I got for, no lifing the game for a little bit. That's going to carry on into the actual game release. So I'm excited about that. So what is our 3.5 hour take on Venom?
Honestly, I didn't think he was too much of a problem as far as combating him. I mean, he's kind of annoying with being a wrecking ball that just swoops in, dives, does all that. I think the biggest issue and concern that I have with him is that temporary health. Like, if you get him paired up with any healer that can keep up with him or is able to stay alive, like, behind him, he's just gonna have so much health. and it's a nightmare to try and finish him off because you're like, oh, he's down to 250 health. Nope, he's at 1300 health again, and it's if you got any healers behind you that are just gonna pump you right back up, you don't even have to worry about it. So he could be very much an unkillable machine, or you use that to swipe or swing away after you dive in and then go pick up a health pack and you're fine. So I think he's very much going to be part of the dive comps that are just he's your equivalent of Wrecking Ball and Winston. That's all he's going to be. He's just going to be mainly used for dive and occasionally tank upfront damage and just never die and just get away. My camera just shut off again. So I think I'm going to put him in B tier.
Okay. All right. That's a 3.5 hour take on Venom. What does our 35-hour take on Venom say? Did he work?
Venom was probably my favorite tank to play once I got the hang of him. He's a lot like Ball in Overwatch. His E is probably his best ability, honestly. You just wait till you take a lot of damage, pop that, and you're back up. And you got your web by that time. You can just get right out. You have like basic security on leaving and can almost confirm a kill if you dive on. I feel like his damage output, like his primary fire, could be better. But I could be wrong. I mean, because I might just not be hitting it right. But yeah, I like Venom a lot. I'm gonna say he's probably A tier.
A tier.
Yeah,
all right.
at other levels.
All right, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I think he's easily the best tank in the game outside of Magneto with the Scarlet Witch. And it's really because of, like we talked about, it's absolutely the sustain, and it's absolutely the sustain and mobility combination. It's like he's like, if I had a solo tank, it would be Venom. If I had to choose a solo tank, it's Venom. Like, please be Venom if you're gonna solo tank. And it's because you have the E survivability, so you don't have to rely on your healers as much because you can just pop that to survive, then go find a health pack. You have mobility, so no one's getting away from you. And smart Venoms can just control the whole map. It's like a lot of people swing in and then dive, and that's really not even how I think it should be done. Like, you can set up before fights, right? Like, say you win fight 1 and you're going into fight 2. You can set up a dive by climbing high up on a wall around a choke or something. They're going to come in, and then dive on them and get some extra damage, swing out, wait a little bit, swing back in, pop it, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can do all kinds of creative stuff with this wall climb. You don't have to waste your swing going in. You can save the swing specifically for guaranteed getting out. Like, his ult isn't very strong, but it adds to the survivability. I think what really sets him apart is that E. It's that giving him the 13 health on a relatively short cooldown. Like, man, Venom is hard to kill. So he's just always up, and if you're good, you're always where you need to be, doing what you need to do with, like, peeling where you need to peel, damaging where you need to be, focusing on where you need to focus, and not dying while you do it. His sustain is just really freaking high, and that's probably what needs looked at the most. I don't think he does too much damage. I really don't. I don't think his kit's overtuned in other places, and I think it's mostly fair. I think, like Spider-Man, he's hard to shoot while he's swinging, which might be a little unfair, but like, it's really that E ability I think that needs to look at. It's insane. Like I said, you pop it under 250 health, you gain an additional 1300 shielding. That's insane because your base health is only like 700, 650, 700. So you get like twice your normal health bar just from popping an E at below 200. Like, it's ridiculous.
Get to kill him 3 times for the price of 1.
Yeah, dude. He's just always alive, contesting the point, and there's jack shit you can do about it. Venom, very good. Venom is very good. Venom is also, in like the tournaments, was one of the ones people pick like banned constantly. It's because no one wanted to deal with it. Like, he's just so good in the hands of a good player. Like I said, he's a dive tank, so like in the hands of like bad and mediocre players, like, you're obviously gonna be able to tell. But like, with someone that understands like their engagements, getting in and out, and managing his E, immortal god. Like, really.
Yeah.
So that's our tier list with a twist, guys. Like, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you noticed, there's not a lot of characters that anybody really thinks is outside of like the S to B tier. I think a lot of the character designs, a lot of the characters feel in the game very powerful when used in like the proper situations. And I don't think, besides Jeff, that there are really any unplayable characters. And even Jeff is playable if you don't mind losing. But yeah, that's our tier list. So I just want to talk about what's next with us as the Rivals Review Podcast. So I want to put a thank you out there for anybody who listened to our show and downloaded our show on podcast platforms or watched it on our YouTube channels. While our first episode wasn't huge, we did see about 30 downloads, which for our first episode, we think is very good. So thank you to anybody out there watching us, and I hope you want to stick around for this ride because it's something we look forward to doing. We hope to have our next episode next Friday. Depending on live situations, that may not happen. But we will get an episode out as soon as we can. I want everybody to remember that on the 20th, there's going to be a live stream on the Marvel Rivals channel where they're going to release, as they call it, a universe of news. So hopefully we get more information about the open beta then. But I do know we're going to hear about like 8 characters or what the leaks are saying. So that's very exciting. Hopefully there's a game to play relatively soon because I know we're all tired of Overwatch. I'd once again just like to share my love with all of you and thank you guys for joining us here. And I'm going to turn it over to my coworkers before we plug ourselves and check out. All right, why don't you go ahead?
Coworkers, like we're
onward.
We're all employed by the same company.
Mad bucks we're making off this 30 viewers.
Yeah,
insane.
man, we're making the profits. Thank you guys so much for listening in and or watching. You know, those of you that are on YouTube, you can't see my face because the tier list is still up. Although I might edit it to have my face.
I can switch it back. I forgot to.
That's fine. I'll edit it in post. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, watching, listening. Keep recommending us to other people. You know, we're gonna try and keep uploading content again. Once we start getting into the beta and start getting into some gameplay and stuff, we'll try and we'll upload like actual gameplay video clips and, you know, some shorts, some actual, you know, full games, or even be live streaming the games that we do play. But again, thank you all so much for listening and watching. The Heater, what do you got?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everybody for listening. Third thank you we gave y'all, so I appreciate it. Thank you for everyone listening. Please download it more. Thank you for all the people who did download. Looking forward to doing more content in the future. Can't wait for an open beta. Hopefully we get to play. Hopefully we get to make some clips, have some laughs. You know, thanks for sticking around for the ride.
All right. You can always catch me streaming on Twitch TV when I can at Twitch TV/Conrad Gunther. Come and watch me get mad at games, though I think I'm breaking up with Overwatch because that relationship is toxic.
Good for you, buddy. Good
and
for you.
yeah. Well, would you guys like to plug yourselves? Links down in the description below.
Oh yeah, I'm Vance Helsing Gaming on YouTube and Twitch occasionally.
And I have nothing on Twitch, but will eventually. We will see.
Once again, thank you guys all for watching. Please check back next week. After the 20th, we should have a lot to talk about, and we are excited to do so. So y'all take care of yourselves, all right?
Bye.
Bye-bye.